Fabian, would you like to go ahead and lead us off?
Yes. Oh. Hello? Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Fabian Verhey, and I'm so honored and privileged to be here today. I grew up in the West Seattle area, took swimming lessons at the Southwest Athletic Center, piano lessons at Delridge Community Center, and attended Sandusville Elementary up the road. And so today I'm here as the owner of Hagosa's House, a neighborhood cafe just a couple blocks south of here. And I'm just so thankful to be here to provide that insight as a small business owner and a member of this community. Over to you.
Okay, cool. Well, good evening, everyone. Good evening. All right. My name is Rob Saka. I'm a dad of 3, a husband, I'm a lawyer by training, and I'm also your Seattle City Council member. I represent every last one of you all in City Hall. By the way, I also live in Delridge. First and foremost, I want to thank a few folks. I want to thank Misha and the entire DNDA team. I want to thank Christina, Tiana, and Renika, staff at DNDA, for all you do to support the organization and the broader community here. And special shout out to Nucor Steel as well, one of the sponsors. We need more public-private partnerships like that, like the long-standing partnership that you all had with Nucor. And if you haven't had a chance to check out a tour of their steel operations, check it out. But again, honored to represent you all, and look forward to having these conversations here tonight. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Jebediah Gardner. I'm the founder and CEO of Gardner Global. We're See, you gotta have friends like that. Appreciate you, Misan. I'm a real estate developer. Gardner Global, we're multifamily real estate investment developer, primarily in the Seattle area, but most prominently in the Central District. Can't wait to talk about that tonight. An author, went to law school, but I chose not to practice. I don't know if it was that smart, man. This real estate game is kind of heavy. I've been in Seattle for 28 years, originally from Los Angeles, California, Southgate, LA, and I'm so thankful to Misha, the team, the board, and the staff for having me here, and I look forward to the conversation tonight.
Thank you. Well, I'll go ahead and get started. So, Delridge is the heart of tonight's celebration. What does resilience look like here, and how can lessons from other communities in Seattle, like the Central District, which has faced immense economic displacement, but is also seeing reinvestment from people like Jebediah, inform how we strengthen Delridge's future? And Jebediah, do you mind leading us off with your response?
Sure. Resilience. I love that word. I think it's important to look at resilience from a perspective of utilizing adversity as a tool and a means to be creative and think outside the box to accomplish what we need to accomplish. Because there's no choice. There's always going to be tides trying to push us left or right. And if you want to stay put, we have to figure out how to deal with adversity. And so I welcome adversity, and what that does is it creates a resilience that really was within all of us. Culturally, we have it, and it's really up to us to manifest it through collaborations with city government, with nonprofits, private partnerships. But most in my world, I'm in the private sector heavily, and when I think about resilience, I just think about not taking no for an answer. I'm just not. No is a complete sentence, by the way. So I don't know the answer to your question, but resilience, say no. You're not moving.
We're going to stay right here.
Exactly.
Thank you. Fabian, could you tell us what resilience looks like? You're right here in the heart of Delridge, the Hagosa House. What does resilience look like?
Yeah, I think resilience comes down to the people. It's like the everyday action. For me, when we opened up Hagosa's House, we didn't do marketing. We didn't do a lot of advertisement. So it came down to word of mouth. it's people saying, hey, like, I see this as part of our future, and I want it to continue to be here, and so I'm gonna tell a friend about it. And so I think that that's where the core of resilience is like having a vision for the future and saying like, I'm gonna help make it happen by showing up every day, by telling people about this shop that's rooted in the community that wants to be here. And so for me, resilience is just like, it's a person's decision to say, I'm here for you, and I want this to be here for the future. Yeah.
Sounds like it's rooted in community.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely, I love that. And council member, you have the immense privilege of being able to hear a lot about what's happening all over Seattle. What other lessons can we learn from other communities?
Yeah, so great question. And we can learn a lot. There's a lot going on throughout the entire city of Seattle. I think we can, especially in Delridge in particular, take a lot of lessons from what happened in the Central District. We talked about that, Jebediah talked about that a little bit ago as well, when there was unchecked and unfettered growth in the Central District at all costs. It resulted in significant displacement of peoples, families, and community. And we learned we can't let that happen. We can't let that happen in historically underinvested in communities like Delridge, other historically underinvested communities that I happen to represent, like South Park and Georgetown. We have to be intentional. We have to be intentional about overcoming some of those systemic barriers that were intentionally designed to marginalize Black and brown communities, poor socioeconomic disadvantaged communities. And so from a policy perspective, we learn a lot from that. That's why, we just went through our phase 1 of the comp plan process. Did a lot of things in there to better support anti-displacement strategies, better support workforce development initiatives, particularly in areas that are like the Duwamish Valley, where heavily polluted, a lot of industry and activity that in commerce that happened there. It was good for our broader community, good for our region. They exported the profits and kept the burden and the pollution in-house in the community. And so just being more intentional about that from a city perspective, understanding that the city is only one, but an important actor. It takes all of us working with the private sector, the small business community, nonprofits, DNDA, and others. So,
I love that. So we got to stay in place, we got to do it with our community, and we got to be intentional about our policies. Thank you so much. One of DNDA's commitments is keeping wealth, housing, and culture rooted in community. Jebediah, you've spoken recently on the Up and Up podcast about what it really takes to build wealth, community, and legacy in real estate. How does your Central District work inform how we think about resilience in neighborhoods like Delridge?
Thank you for checking out that podcast, by the way.
Marvelous. If anybody needs a link, we got it.
Podcasts are a good space for me to talk my not that I won't do it here, don't get your exhibits. I'm not tripping. Keep it a buck, and Tim knows. But let's get back to the topic at hand. Central District wealth and resiliency. So just to put out some numbers for you all, so you know a little bit of the work that we're doing. We purchased Mount Calvary Christian Center, all of our holdings on 23rd and Union. They own the church, and they also own the lot across the street. We invested about a little over $8 million to buy them out. And I think that's like an amazing example of, number one, like Black business doing Black business is good business. Number two, really the bishop was intentional about, he could have sold that piece of property to anybody. He had people with way bigger checkbooks than Gardner Global. I had a few lints in my pocket that I was trying to magically rub together to create $8 million, but he still gave me the opportunity. And so without the opportunity, Jebediah doesn't really exist, right? And so when I think about resiliency, I think about what's the opposite of resilient? Do we want that? No. And so I had to stay real steadfast on working with the bishop, his team, and his board, and also my team to figure out how I was gonna come up with this $8 million to acquire, land in a very, very important part of our Seattle fabric. And we were able to do that. And so fast forwarding to today, on one of the sites, we're planning an 8-story, 117 unit, mixed market rate, affordable housing development. Out of 117 units, thank you. It's a $50 million project. Out of 117 units, about 35 to 40% of those will be affordable. Now, I did this without public subsidy. Not to say public subsidy is bad, we need that. That's the collaboration initiative. Yeah, I got commercial space. So, but I was really trying to find a creative way to work outside of the public subsidy box. So that way I had the freedom to create as many affordable units as possible and had the freedom to create space for as many small micro businesses that I wanted. I had the freedom to create as much equity that I wanted. I just needed the freedom and the liberation. And there are projects that are super ripe and amazing for public subsidy. And then there's some projects that, need to be focused on generating wealth. And that's our goal, is to generate wealth. And so that's on one side. And the other side of the street, we have the same thing, an 8-story, 100+ unit project. And that will be 100% affordable, which we will be knocking on the city's door for. That will be a publicly subsidized project because Amazon invested $4.5 million in Gardner Global, which we then used to purchase the site. That came a covenant. 80% of those units need to be affordable. Cool with us. So you have a program. The city has a program where that is right? So that project will be right for affordability. So just on that block alone, $50 million investment on one project, it'll be about the same on the other side, on 2 sides of the street in the Central District, 23rd Union. Gardner Global will be investing $100+ million in creating affordable housing. And that's how we stay put.
David, when you and I spoke yesterday, we talked a little bit about different ways to measure wealth and how we can build that within our community. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's funny because I think when I first saw the question, I wasn't sure, right? Like, what does building wealth and legacy mean to me? Because in the short term, I don't know. We're still working on it, right? Like, we opened about 7 months ago, so building wealth is still in question. But it's funny because when I looked at Hakosa's house as a whole, I mean, my parents bought that building almost 15 years ago, like more than 15 years ago, I think in 2007, right? And they've just been waiting to create something. And so when they presented this opportunity to me about a year ago, I was like, well, let me have the space, let me build something here. And so I think that's that generational wealth, right, that we love to see, and it's also me reinvesting into the community. And so the time, the money that we put in, I think that's part of the legacy that we're creating right now. And so for me, legacy is having my grandma's name on the storefront, right, Hakosa, which means joy in Tigrinya. Legacy is having my little baby friends, my friends that are babies, hang out and drink baby Cheetos while watching buses pass by and count 1 bus, 2 bus, right? Legacy is having the little puppies come in through our doors, right? Dragging their parents through the doors to have a pup cup, and I think it's about being a part of these core memories. That's the legacy that I think that we're bringing forth, and the piece on wealth, right? There's financial wealth and there's social wealth and there's cultural wealth.
Intellectual wealth, relationship wealth.
Listen, I'm making up wealth. There's a lot of wealth, right? And so I think it's an exciting time in our journey because we're building, I guess, a multitude of wealth. And so I'm excited to keep that, keep that moving forward.
Councilmember, can you tell us a little bit about what you believe West Seattle needs in order to continue growing generational wealth? How do we start that and how do we keep it going?
Yeah, great question. So what does West Seattle need to ensure we can all build generational wealth? a couple of things from a city policy perspective. First off, let me acknowledge and recognize King County Council Member Teresa Mosqueda here. Give her a round of applause. She's my legislative counterpart in King County government, and she's been such a good partner and colleague, and sometimes mentor with all the city affairs, because that was her old gig. In any event, so what can the broader West Seattle community do? A couple of things. Certainly from a policy perspective, I'm working hard at City Hall to try and fund initiatives like our equitable development initiative. That's one of the programs that we were referring to a moment ago, but to be intentional about overcoming some of those challenges that we spoke about earlier. But it's not just that. Earlier this year, I also was proud to support legislation. It's first of its kind anti-displacement legislation. It essentially granted homeowners a Bill of Rights. So at least in the Central District, one of the learnings is that there was a lot of predatory home buyers, unscrupulous actors coming in and lowballing and giving unsolicited offers to homeowners, lowballing them, of course, and putting pressure on them. And lo and behold, that greatly contributed, wasn't the only factor, but it greatly contributed to displacement in the area. So we passed first of its nation legislation to grant homeowners a Bill of Rights to specifically prevent that. Making sure they have access to lawyers, they know about lawyers, and they have a certain cancel period if they do enter into a contract, and among other provisions that are really important and impactful, but kind of boring for this audience. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Most importantly, come up and show up for and support the small businesses here in Delridge community. Come support Hagosa's House. Support businesses like Hagosa's House, like the Thai place at the commercial kitchen down the street. Some of the best Thai in all of Seattle. There's so much here. Come invest. When I had the opportunity to go to your shop for the first time, belatedly, I should have went earlier, but I actually went with Councilmember Mosqueda here, and we were talking offline, and she was telling me that the Delridge community is, and even some of broader West Seattle, showing up real strong for her, which is great, and I'm proud of that, and I'm thankful for that. But we need more than just the Delridge community to show up for and support small businesses like the Hagosa's House. Everyone from West Seattle, although the Delridge corridor shouldn't just be a pass-through when you're on your way to some activity or some event in White Center or something like that. There's a lot of daycares here, which we're proud of. Should be more than just drop off and pick up. Come support. That kind of thing helps build wealth.
I love that. Yes. Let's make Delridge a destination.
It's a destination.
Resilience is never built alone. What partnerships between businesses, government, nonprofits, and neighbors are most critical right now? We've talked about Hagosa House, we've talked about other businesses along Delridge, but what are the most important? DNDA, and how can DNDA make sure that we are a part of that ecosystem?
I'll go ahead. Yeah, it's a very important question. We live in very interesting times, using the word interesting very nicely tonight. All to say that a lot of the success that we've been able to see as Gardner Global is because of partnerships and collaborations, right? And I want to shout out Tina with LIST. Shout out Tina. LIST has been immensely important. They're a large national nonprofit with a local office here, but they're working alongside Gardner Global, which is a small private development firm, right? And that's an example of them coming, knowing that I'm not a nonprofit. When I first met them, they're like, "But you're not a nonprofit. How are we going to work with you?" And I was like, "I know, but I'm trying to build wealth for Black and brown people." They were like, "Okay." But partnerships with LIST are super important. Partnerships with Amazon, we were one of the earliest recipients of the Amazon Housing Equity Fund. And then partnerships with the private equity market that I just didn't know existed. I just started kicking down doors. And all of a sudden you start turning over rocks. You're like, oh, there's a bag there, a bag there, a bag there. Well, why can't I have all the bags? What are you talking about? And then you just make them say no, right? And then you just keep knocking on their door after they say no. Eventually they cough up the bag. And then partnerships with just traditional lending institutions. In my space, we need banks. We need banks who also see affordable housing as a value to the community. So there's a lot of different areas and spaces that we need to cross-collaborate. And if you're a nonprofit, if you're leading a private small business, if you're in a governmental role, like, we gotta take our blinders off and be open to all the collaborations and not just think, oh, because it's in my charter, I can't partner with this group. Oh, because it's in the regulations, I can't partner. Like, no, like, this is not a time to be docile and nice. This is a time where you think, like, check in on your Black friends, check in on your Latino friends especially, check in on the gay community, check in on women. If you put all those groups together, guess who's the majority in this mother? Right? And so this is the time to cross-collaborate across all kind of projects, housing projects, park projects, green projects. I mean, you line it up, and I'm just really thankful to be in Seattle because we're around folks who are not afraid to take that step forward. So I would just say, take the blinders off. Think about don't think about what's going to hold you back, because that's not resilience, right? Resilience is like, well, what's on the other side of that? And most of the time, if you jump over that, cross that line of fear, something great's going to happen. And I feel like all of that is here in this room tonight. We just got to take that step.
Thank you, thank you.
I'll jump in here. So the power of partnerships, how can we use the power of partnerships to unlock opportunity for all? So as we talked about earlier, we've been talking about this whole time, it takes all of us. In my role as your Seattle City Council member, you're a representative in our local city government. I believe I have a strong role in helping to unlock opportunity for all. I believe I have a strong and central role in addressing some of those historical things that happen to marginalized communities. I believe I have a strong role. But it is not the only role. I have also responsibility to work closely with my government partners, like King County Councilmember Mosqueda, others, at the state level, federal level. I meet with Congressman Smith, for example, regularly, check in with our Congresswoman Jayapal as well. Because from a government perspective, it really takes all of us. On top of that, government just can't act alone. We move slow sometimes. And this is hard for me to say because I come from the private sector. We have a lot of expertise in certain areas, and sometimes private actors are better able to deliver things more efficiently and effectively sometimes. So we need to rely on them heavily. We rely on folks, partners from the chamber. I see Rachel from the West Seattle Chamber is here. Shout out to Rachel in the chamber. It really takes the nonprofit sector, all of us. I work, and by the way, if anyone's ever connected with Rosa from the Department of Neighborhoods, that is an excellent organization. Her remit is solely focused on this specific geographic area within the city, and she's very responsive, very helpful. So reach out to me in my office, reach out to Rosa, we can connect you if needed, but partnerships, this is a true better together story.
Thank you. Speaking of better together, resilience doesn't just happen. It's something that we have to invest in. Whether it's through public policy, small business support, or nonprofit work, keeping communities like Delridge strong takes resources. From where we all sit, as a policymaker, a business owner, a developer, a neighbor, there are so many different types of investments that are needed right now. And each one of us in this room has a big role to play in making resilience last here on Delridge. So, thank you so much to all of our panelists. I really enjoyed this, and thank you to everybody who is here tonight.